As part of my anti-work, I've met victims in Russia, I've met victims in India, I've met victims that have been trafficked from Mexico, victims in New York and New Jersey and all across our country. I believe that it is my effort to defend their right to pursue happiness.
Ashton Kutcher speaking before Congress about human sounds noble, right? But could his ties to Diddy be much darker than anyone could have imagined?
Diddy party stories, they're our favorite genre of anecdote, if you have one, yeah.
Wow, okay, I've got a lot I can't tell. So, can't tell that one either.
Is Ashton hiding something beneath his image of the perfect Hollywood philanthropist?
Ashton has been using his celebrity platform to advocate for trafficking. But now you're telling me that his wife just moved out because of things that are about to unfold with the Diddy case.
Some shocking revelations may suggest a deep connection between Ashton and Diddy that no one saw coming. But did Ashton know more than he ever let on? And could Mila Kunis be playing a dangerous game of exposure that could unravel Hollywood's most disturbing secrets?
We support victims. We have done this historically through our work and will continue to do so in the future.
When Ashton Kutcher launched his anti-human organization, millions praised him. But with new details about his close ties to Diddy, who is now at the center of a massive STF-icking investigation, questions arise. Was Kutcher truly committed to the cause, or was he trying to hide something much darker? As the details emerge about Ashton's sudden departure from his anti-child SA organization and Diddy's growing legal troubles, we're left to wonder, how deep does this all go? Can a man who's so closely tied to some of the most powerful figures in Hollywood, including Diddy, really be trusted to fight against TF-icking? Is it a coincidence that Ashton is terrified Diddy might drag his name into this scandal to save himself? Let's start with what we know. Ashton Kutcher founded an anti-TF-icking organization called Thorn. His powerful speeches before Congress have garnered praise across the board.
As part of my anti-work work, I've met victims in Russia, I've met victims in India, I've met victims that have been trafficked from Mexico, victims in New York and New Jersey and all across our country.
But here's where things get murky. Rumors have surfaced suggesting that Ashton might have known more than he's letting on about Diddy's activities. A recent source even revealed that Ashton's biggest fear right now is Diddy turning on him, exposing secrets from Hollywood's inner circle in a desperate bid to clear his name. Ashton absolutely regrets his friendship with Diddy considering what has happened, an insider told DailyMail. He feels lied to, betrayed, taken for granted and manipulated, the source continued. He feels the same way about Danny Masterson. He now trusts no one except for his wife Mila, Kunis. He is going to keep his circle to his family. You see, many people don't realize that Ashton Kutcher and Diddy go way back. Sean Combs has gone by 1 million names over the years. Started out in the 90s in NYC, back when he was P. Diddy, then Puffy, then just Love. He launched Bad Boy Records in '93, which eventually became Bad Boy Entertainment, one of the biggest names in the music biz. And he didn't just bring any old artist with him. He brought the Notorious Big, aka Christopher Wallace. That name alone was making Bad Boy Entertainment some millions a year at one point.
Puffy has been making money off of Biggie's name for longer than Biggie was alive. People keep forgetting he hadn't turned 25 yet. He was still 24 when he died.
But here's the thing. Combs wasn't just making headlines because of his music. Oh no, he was all over the place. Fashion, TV shows, you name it. And this is where things get interesting. Combs found himself rubbing elbows with another A-lister, Ashton Kutcher. Yep, that's right. Diddy and Ashton were tight.
Our relationship was really bizarre. We became fast friends, and we used to just hang out, watch football together. And he came over, and I was like, I'm going for a run. He was like, oh, I'll go for a run with you.
So how did these two link up? It all started with Punk'd. You remember that prank show on MTV, right? But Combs didn't stop there. He also produced a bunch of seasons of Making the Band on MTV, where wannabe stars competed to make it big. And during all of this, Ashton and Diddy were often spotted together, at events, parties, you name it. Ashton was a regular at Diddy's famous Labor Day white party back in 2010. You know, those bougie events where everyone wears white and things probably get wild behind the scenes. Here's a fun tidbit. When Time magazine named Ashton one of the 100 most influential people that year, Diddy gushed over him saying, Ashton Kutcher is a sounding board for me. Like me, he's a mogul, a new media mogul, but we're like yin and yang. I'm in your face, and he's all cool and suave. Cute, right? Fast forward to 2019. And Ashton's on Hot Ones, getting grilled by Sean Evans while eating spicy wings. Of course, the topic of Diddy's legendary parties came up, and let's just say Ashton had a lot of stories he couldn't tell.
Wow, okay, I've got a lot I can't tell. So, can't tell that one either.
Well, it's obvious that Ashton knew Diddy well. They partied together, hung out at exclusive events, places that now are being called into question amid Diddy's arrest. Could Ashton be implicated in this by association? In September of last year, Ashton Kutcher stepped down as board chair of Thorn, his anti-child essay organization, raising eyebrows. Could it be linked to the growing scrutiny around his friendship with Diddy?
Diddy party stories, they're our favorite genre of anecdote if you have one, yeah.
Wow, okay, I've got a lot I can't tell. So, can't tell that one either.
The move came in the wake of outrage over their letters of support for Danny Masterson, who was convicted of essaying two women. Victims of essay have been historically silenced, and the character statement I submitted is yet another painful instance of questioning victims who are brave enough to share their experiences, Kutcher wrote in a September 14 letter to Thorn's board, which was shared exclusively with Time. After my wife and I spent several days of listening, personal reflection, learning, and conversations with survivors and the employees and leadership at Thorn, I have determined the responsible thing for me to do is resign as chairman of the board, effectively immediately, Kutcher wrote. I cannot allow my error in judgment to distract from our efforts and the children we serve. The actor also apologized to victims of SA and other advocates for letting them down. The mission must always be the priority, and I want to offer my heartfelt apology to all victims of SA and everyone at Thorn who I hurt by what I did, he wrote to the board. And to the broader advocacy community, I am deeply sorry. I remain proud of what we have accomplished in the past decade and will continue to support Thorn's work. Thank you for your tireless advocacy and dedication to this cause. The timing is suspicious, especially with Diddy's scandal exploding and Ashton staying unusually silent. And let's not forget the whispers from his inner circle, rumors that have been swirling for years about Ashton's darker connections. Then there's the connection between Ashton and Danny Masterson. Masterson was convicted on our charges, and Ashton's reaction was interesting, to say the least.
Danny Masterson has just been sentenced to 30 years to life in prison and has been ordered to register as an offender. A jury convicted the actor on 2 counts back in May.
Ashton Kutcher and Mila Kunis wrote to the court as character references, urging Los Angeles Superior Court Judge Charlene Olmedo to offer Masterson leniency in letters dated between July and August last year, after he was convicted in May of the same year for SA. In his letter obtained by The Hollywood Reporter, Kutcher referred to his co-star as a role model with exceptional character and explained that Masterson was the reason Kutcher didn't fall into drugs. Any time that we were to meet someone or interact with someone who was on drugs or did drugs, he made it clear that that wouldn't be a good person to be friends with, the Your Place or Mine star wrote. Kunis wrote in her letter that Masterson had been an exceptional older brother figure to her. She also touted his avoidance of drugs, which inspired her to stay away from substances. Danny's steadfastness in promoting a drug-free lifestyle has been a guiding light in my journey through the entertainment world and has helped me prioritize my well-being and focus on making responsible choices. The Friends with Benefits actress added, the married duo decided to address the brewing storm with a joint video apology that hit the internet on a sultry Saturday afternoon. In their confession, they spilled the beans about how the Mastersons' family had asked them to vouch for their 25-year acquaintance. They said,
a couple months ago, Danny's family reached out to us and they asked us to write character letters to represent the person that we knew for 25 years so that the judge could take that into full consideration.
Kutcher then added, they were intended for the judge to read and not to undermine the testimony of the victims or re-traumatize them in any way. We would never want to do that, and we're sorry if that has taken place. Critics were quick to take to X to unleash their dismay over the lawyered apology. Journalist Yashar Ali wrote on the site, it's important to note that the letters weren't just character letters you'd write for a friend. The letters, which contained a great deal of Scientological phrasing, were intended to undermine the victims who were drugged by Danny. Another person referred to the apology as, more like sorry public, we did not know that our letter would be read publicly. We still want to support our horrible friend in court. They are not sorry. Meanwhile, Masterson's accuser called Ashton out for being connected to a mentor who was just as guilty. Chrissy Carnell Bixler took to social media to call out Kutcher, saying, "Dear Ashton, I know the secrets your role model keeps for you. Ones that would end you. Did you forget I was there?" Speculation began about Kutcher's actions on February 21st, 2001, the day Ellerin was taken down. "You were on speakerphone that night. You called Danny on February 21st, 2001. I hear everything. I heard the plan. In my opinion, you're just as sick as your mentor," Chrissy posted. Was she talking about Diddy? Anyway, for context, Kutcher was a witness in the trial of Ellerin's unaliver Michael Gargiulo. He testified that he had plans to go on a date with Ellerin that night and called her twice, but received no answer. When he arrived at her home, he peered through the window and saw what he believed to be a wine stain on her carpet. He believed at that point he had been stood up, said Deputy District Attorney Dan Aikman. "We believe now the evidence will show that was actually blood, and Ashley had already been taken down." After the Kutchers' outspoken support for the accused, Christina Ricci boldly called them out, triggering a cascade of revelations about their own history. In a stark white font against a dramatic black background, Christina shared her sentiments saying, "Unfortunately, I've known lots of awesome guys who were lovely to me who have been proven to be abusers privately. I've also had personal experience with this. Believe victims. It's not easy to come forward. It's not easy to get a conviction." In a separate slide, she continued, "So sometimes people we have loved and admired do horrible things. They might not do these things to us, and we only know who they were to us, but that doesn't mean they didn't do the horrible things, and to discredit the abused is a crime. People we know as awesome guys can be predators and abusers. It's tough to accept, but we have to. If we say support victims, women, children, men, boys, then we must be able to take this stance," the note concluded. While Christina Ricci didn't drop any names, her social media posts left little to the imagination, seemingly aimed at the celebrity couple currently embroiled in a whirlwind of controversy, none other than Ashton Kutcher and Mila Kunis. However, after all the backlash that Ashton and Mila faced, Christina reemerged on Instagram stories to clarify that she wasn't referring specifically to the Kutchers, although she admitted that recent events have made her think more about this. "What I wrote wasn't meant to seem so pointed," she began in the post to her 1.6 million followers. "It's just something I've been thinking about generally as different individuals' wrongdoings have come to light over the past couple of years, and I too have found it difficult to reconcile the person or people I knew with the things they've done." She finished, "But yes, recent events have made me think more about this." In any case, Christina's choice of words in labeling the act of people discrediting victims, in this case Ashton and Mila, as a crime has raised some eyebrows. Some fans believe that there could be more to this story, and that Christina could be hinting that these two celebrities should also be considered criminals for siding with Masterson. One fan actually commented on this, saying, "She's right about this. They're very wrong for what they did, and their apology is not even enough. They should be punished too." But what's truly interesting here is Mila Kunis' sudden and suspicious silence about the whole Diddy ordeal. For weeks, rumors of a split between her and Ashton have been circulating. Sources close to the couple claim that Mila is growing uncomfortable with Ashton's ties to Diddy, especially with the FBI now reportedly investigating all of Diddy's associates. Real sound from a gossip podcast discussing Ashton and Mila's split rumors. Could Mila be cooperating with authorities behind the scenes? If so, it makes sense why she's distanced herself from Ashton. She may know something explosive that could put Ashton in serious legal jeopardy. After all, she has been by his side for years and would have had access to his private world. There are even whispers that Mila has been speaking with federal investigators, providing key information that could potentially expose Ashton's role in Diddy's criminal circle. If that's true, Ashton's world could be about to come crashing down. You see, Diddy has been making headlines for weeks, arrested, locked up, and now refusing to eat, paranoid that he might be poisoned.
We're getting reports that Diddy isn't eating while in jail, and it could be because he thinks someone's trying to poison his food.
Speculation is running wild that Sean Diddy Combs might be refusing to eat in jail, fearing he could be Epsteined, taken out and made to look like a self-harm fatality. Sources close to the situation suggest that Diddy's paranoia is through the roof, especially as his testimony could expose dirt on some of the most powerful players in the industry. Former inmate Larry Levine has fueled the rumor mill by claiming Diddy may have stopped eating altogether because he's afraid someone might poison his food. Levine hints that Diddy's got serious secrets on people with deep pockets and high stakes, and they might want him silenced before he can take the stand.
Justin Bieber.
Justin Bieber.
Kevin Hart.
Kevin Hart.
Mark Wahlberg.
Mark Wahlberg.
Snoop. DJ Khaled.
DJ Khaled.
For some, it's easy to brush off Diddy's fear as paranoia. But for others, this is just the beginning of a much larger story. The timing is what's raising suspicion. Diddy's testimony is scheduled to happen soon. And the word on the street is that his testimony could shake the foundations of the entertainment industry. His fans fear he won't survive long enough to tell his story, a fear that's intensified after the suspicious deaths of other high-profile figures who were set to testify before Diddy. To make things worse for him, the judge recently denied his bail request. This is after Diddy tried to offer a whopping $50 million, as well as putting up his and his mom's multi-million-dollar mansions in Miami as collateral. Oh, and get this, he even offered up his passport and the passports of his children, including his 1-year-old kid who's barely old enough to walk. But despite all of that, the judge wasn't having it. They said, nope, you're staying put, essentially sending a message that Diddy isn't going anywhere anytime soon. Now, the part that's really mind-blowing is the sheer amount of money Diddy tried to use to buy his way out. A $50 million bond is no joke, and the fact that the judge didn't even blink and still said no just goes to show how serious this case is. To put it in perspective, the average bail for a serious crime in California is usually around $2 million. For that, you typically only have to come up with 10%, which is $200,000. You can pay that by putting up your house or assets as collateral. But Diddy? He offered way more, an $18 million mansion. And yet, the judge still told him he's not going anywhere. That's wild. In any case, it really doesn't matter how much money you have, or how flashy your life looks from the outside. What matters is how you got it. If you do shady stuff to get where you are, eventually it's going to catch up with you. It might take time, but one way or another, you're going to have to face the consequences of your actions. And in Diddy's case, it looks like jail time is the return on his investment. So what exactly did Diddy do that landed him in this hot water? According to the indictment, which was released right after his arrest, the charges against him date all the way back to 2008. For over a decade, Diddy managed to avoid getting caught, and that's because he wasn't operating alone. He had some very powerful people backing him up. Not only that, but he had a bunch of hotels across the country on his payroll, as well as a network of people who were responsible for making sure his victims stayed quiet. In some cases, if they weren't silent, they might have even ended up dead.
Combs carried or brandished firearms to intimidate and threaten victims and witnesses. Now, Combs did not do this all on his own. As I mentioned, Combs has been charged with RICO conspiracy.
It turns out that Diddy was running a full-blown criminal enterprise. This wasn't just about throwing wild parties, it was way more sinister. The enterprise was involved in forced labor, transporting people across state lines for prostitution, kidnapping, arson, bribery, and even obstructing justice. According to reports, Diddy used force, threats, and manipulation to get women to participate in these freak-off parties, which were not only disturbing, but were also recorded on video. Some of these parties lasted for days, and the victims had to be given IV fluids just to recover from all the physical and emotional damage they endured. If that wasn't already bad enough, most of Diddy's victims were flown into the US and forced into these depraved acts. They didn't sign up for any of it, and Diddy and his people used all kinds of twisted tactics to control them. One of the things that came out in the investigation was that they used tons of lubricants and baby oil on these victims, both women and men, to carry out the assaults.
They seized cases and cases of the kinds of personal lubricant and baby oil that Combs' staff allegedly used to stock hotel rooms for the freak-offs. More than 1,000 bottles altogether.
This raid was a huge turning point in the case. For a while, it looked like Diddy might just get away with a few lawsuits and not see the inside of a prison. But now, with all this evidence stacking up against him, it seems pretty clear that he's going to be spending a lot of time behind bars. In any case, while Ashton remains out of the spotlight, Diddy's scandal is blowing up in ways no one saw coming. Usher deleting tweets, other celebrities distancing themselves. It's clear this case is shaking Hollywood to its core, but Ashton, usually so vocal, is nowhere to be found. Could it be that he's scared that his past with Diddy might resurface in the worst possible way? Some speculate that Ashton is terrified that Diddy could spill everything to protect himself, possibly making up false allegations or exposing Ashton's role in the Hollywood underworld. As more details come to light, it's clear that Ashton Kutcher is not just a Hollywood star. He's deeply connected to some of the industry's darkest secrets. But was his fight against TF-icking a genuine effort, or was it a calculated move to protect himself and those closest to him? As Diddy's case unfolds, Ashton might soon find himself in the crossfire of an explosive Hollywood scandal. Could the panic we see now be just the tip of the iceberg? With all the evidence we've gathered, from Ashton's connections to Diddy, to his sudden resignation, to the accusations from those who know him best, it's only a matter of time before the truth comes out. What we once thought was Ashton Kutcher's heroic stand against human TF-icking might just be a smokescreen. And as Diddy's trial moves forward, we might finally learn the real reason Ashton was so desperate to lead that fight. Anyway, that's it for this video, folks. Bye.